Hey guys, welcome back to another episode from Lord of the Rings Strategy Battle Game channel. Rob Cruz here. Just want to give you guys an update. I know it's been a little while since I posted. We'll be doing some world campaign updates shortly. I just want to make a kind of a big announcement along with showing you guys a couple of things I got completed. First thing, big announcement, Bilbo's birthday bash in Chicago next weekend, November 8th and 9th, I believe. I'm going out there with a couple of other guys from Colorado, and I've talked to Brent, the organizer of the event, and he is going to allow me to film. So when I get there, of course, I got to get consent from all the other players, make sure that they're okay with me filming their models. But what I'd like to do is show up there, kind of give you an overview of the event. So far there's 22 registrations, so we're going to have quite a few armies there. It's going to be a mixture of Hobbit as well as Lord of the Rings. It's going to be based off the Hobbit rules from the strategy battle games from Games Workshop. The stipulations are you run 2 armies, 1 evil army and 1 good army. It's a 2-day event. We have 3 battles the first day and 3 battles the second day. So you'll run three battles with your good army and 3 battles with your evil army. Also, you have to use the warband rules, and the the points for your armies are 750. So I've completed both my armies. I just finished sealing them this morning with some sealant, and so I got them on their display boards. I kind of made a kind of small makeshift display boards because I'm going to be flying, and it has to be something that I can break down rather easily. So it's not going to be something too fancy, but hopefully it still allow me to score some points. So this is my Gondor army on the display board. I'll show you the Mordor army on the display board as well, and then I'll break down each of the armies in their war bands and kind of get you some highlights of each of the models. I'll kind of zoom in here a little bit. So this is the Gondor army on the kind of the ruins of Osgiliath, Fields of Pelennor type theme. I went with 2 themes. You do get extra points for scoring with going with themes, so I went with opposing armies, Mordor and Gondor. Of course, Gondor is my favorite army, so I'm obviously going to be playing them, and I figured Mordor would be the perfect counter army for them, as they are basically natural rivals. So with my good army, I've got, kind of went with hordes, 750 points. I was able to get 59 models, which is quite a bit. Got a couple of big units in here. Nothing really too expensive. It's the one advantage of Gondor that I think is their strength, is the fact that a lot of their guys are really inexpensive. So I'm running 59 models in this army, which is going to be quite a bit. It will help me in some scenarios, but reading some of the new scenarios, if we play them, it may hurt me as well. Especially like Lords of Battle, where you get victory points for just for inflicting wounds. I'll probably have more targets on the battlefield than my opponent, which will give them a lot more opportunities to score more victory points in that scenario. So we'll just have to see how it goes. But I'll break down my armies each and kind of explain to you why I picked what I picked, and we'll go from there. But this is my Gondor army, 59 models, and I'll go ahead and show you guys my Mordor army. With Mordor, I went with the host of the Witch King as my theme. So this would be what I would think would be the army that marches across that bridge. You see it in the movie of his fortress of Minas Morgul. So this is kind of what I would think would represent that. You have a mix of the Morannon orcs, which are, you know, Sauron's strongest forces as far as orcs go. So he would definitely be sending those to sack the city of, the free city of men. I also have a host of Númenóreans, black Númenóreans, which are basically the evil men that the Witch King recruited near Angmar before they came to Mordor. That's kind of when they joined up with him. So you have a mix of those troops, and then of course I've got just a mixture of orcs with spears as well to kind of support the front lines, those 2 strong front lines. So that's kind of what I'm going with this, and of course leading them will be atop the fortress there is the Witch King. I put him on Fellbeast, the armored Fellbeast. So like I said, I'll go ahead and break down these armies per their war bands and kind of give you an idea of what I'm running with. But that's kind of an overview of my armies and the themes based on them. So this is what I'll be running at Bilbo's birthday bash. And up next, we're going to show you a breakdown of the war bands of each army. Okay, so we'll go ahead and go through my good army first. Like I said, 750 points, 59 models. I have a bow count of about 18 plus on here. I know with the new Hobbit rules, range is not that popular. The reason I went so high with my bow count still is because the Rangers of Gondor, and I think Rangers of Gondor is probably, bar none, one of the top 2 standard units that Gondor can field. The reason I say that is that they have an excellent fight value, and they also have an excellent possibility to hit with their bows. So even with the new minuses to your rolls when you're moving with the Hobbit rules, they still hit on a 4+ as long as they don't move more than half their distance, which is pretty solid. So, and I equipped a lot of them with over-the-shoulders or spear support so that they can, with the new Hobbit rules, lend their high fight value, which is going to help my front lines. So most of my guys on my front line are fight 3, the Rangers of Gondor are fight 4. So they're really going to help out supporting my front line. So basically I've got 5 warbands in this army. My first warband is led by my army leader, which is going to be Syrian. And he is going to be leading this warband here of 5 Guards of the Fountain Court with shields. I have a Knight of Minas Tirith with shield on the back there with his horse. I have 4 Warriors of Minas Tirith with shields and spears to support them. So you're going to see a similar type warband on this other side of the battlefield here. And the only difference is instead of Kyrian, I'm going to be running the Knight of the White Tower. And the Knight of the White Tower is going to be pretty nice for fighting units that, like high defense units, just because his sword gives him, it's a 2-handed weapon, so it's plus to wound, and it also, if it hits and inflicts wounds, it actually does 2 wounds per hit. So it's really nice for fighting monsters and models that have a lot of wounds to them. So you're going to see a similar setup on that warband too. Again, 5 Guards of the Fountain Court with shields. Then you got your 4 Warriors of Minas Tirith in the background with spear support and a Knight of Minas Tirith. These units have bodyguard, so I am going to basically use these 2 warbands that I just showed you to face off against terror-inspiring monsters. Because it'll help me get more guys on the monsters than they would normally have. So that's the idea between those 2 warbands there. And then the bulk of my army is going to be threefold. First part, I apologize for the camera there, is going to be the center of my army, which is going to be Baragond. And he is going to be leading a warband that has a banner of Minas Tirith in there. Behind him you can see that hornblower back there. And then I've got Warriors of Minas Tirith with, again, your Rangers of Gondor in the back with spear support. And then you have another warband here, there in the center. On the end there you can see it's Damrod. And then you have, again, a mixture of Warriors of Minas Tirith, Rangers of Gondor, and spear support either way. So even if I have a Ranger up front, I have a spear support behind him so that I can get that extra dice. I think with me having so many models, I can afford to put multiple guys on their guys. That's the goal, at least. I don't know if that's going to work out. I guess I'll have to see. But that's kind of the idea there, is to get as many dice as I can on the enemy as possible. The one drawback with Gondor, of course, is almost all their units are strength 3. So it's really hard to wound any type of army that's got any kind of decent armor. So the more dice I can have, the better. That's just the way I'm going to play them. I tried playing him with Boromir. With the new heroic strikes, his fight value is just not worth the points. I mean, first 2 games in a row, I lost him to just normal heroes because of, they got to fight 10. Boromir was at fight 10. They won the tiebreaker and they had surround on him. So it just was frustrating when you have these models that have high fight value that can now be trumped with smaller models with heroic strike. So if you are playing the Hobbit rules, I think a lot of you will probably tend to agree with me on that. Heroic Strike, I think, is a little overpowered for what it does. The new monster rules are really good. Hurl is really powerful, and that, I don't know, that might be a little too strong as well. But definitely, I think the Heroic Strike is a little stronger than it should be. And then finally, this other warband here is, of course, Madril. And he is also running, again, Rangers of Gondor with spear support and Warriors of Minas Tirith with Rangers of Gondor spear support. So that, in essence, is my army. You know, I've got a good mix of high defensive front line there with good fight value to back it up in the rear. I got a hornblower there to help me with courage checks. I have a feeling that almost every evil army I'm going to be facing will probably be running a Nazgul. Gondor's courage is not that solid on their standard units, so I'm going to definitely be using that hornblower to help me stay on the field and to make courage checks. I have a banner there to help me with rerolls. And then, of course, I've got the 2 units that've got the Guard of the Fountain Court to deal with, like, monster units, you know, trolls, Nazgul, that type of stuff. So that, in essence, is my army for good. Okay, here's my evil army breakdown. Basically, I went with 2 different ideas for tactics. I went with using the strength 4 of the Morannon Orcs to get a lot of kills, and then I also used the fear effect of the Black Numenorians to help me get better odds on fighting. Basically, if the opponent wins priority and he wants to charge my Numenorians, he has to make a courage check in order to charge them. And with the Witch King close by, those courage checks are going to be at minuses, so hopefully some of their guys will be terrified, which will mean less models that I have to match up against during the fight phase. So that's kind of the idea with the Numenorians. With the Morannon Orcs, I've got an Orc Shaman and I've got a Morannon Orc Captain. With the Numenorians, I have the Witch King leading 1 warband, and I have a Dark Marshal. Black Numenorian Marshal, there's a difference, leading the other one. So basically on this side here, you've got a warband of 6 Morannon Orcs with Mordor Orcs with spears supporting them, and then with that warband I also have a Mordor Orc Shaman. The nice thing with the new channel spells in Hobbit is Channel Fury is really, really solid. So I will be using him for Channel Fury. It really kind of depends. Sometimes Fury doesn't really help you at all, but sometimes when you get your rolls, it can be, you know, just a huge blowout. I mean, 2 or 3 models that should be dead are still alive. Sometimes even heroic combats can be canceled by failing to kill your enemy because he saves due to a Fury spell. So here on the Witch King's warband, I have 6 Black Numenorians with Orcs with spears and shields supporting them. The reason I put the spears and shields with those guys is that they probably won't be within Fury range, so giving them extra armor is going to help, I think. And then, of course, I got the Witch King on Felbeast there, armored Felbeast actually. I understand that there are probably some better Nazgul to run. The reason I ran with the Witch King was for theme, basically. I think he's a decent Nazgul to pick. I was running him with the Morgul Crown, but I found more often than not that I was getting him killed by doing that. And it wasn't the initial combat that he was in. He was usually winning and killing whoever he fought against. It was that follow-up turn where he would then get based by a bunch of guys and just getting taken down. So I took the Morgul Crown off of him to give myself some more points. I put him on an armored Felbeast, so he's a little harder to kill, and I use him more sparingly now. I use him more for harassment and for casting a lot of spells. He does get some kills in, but I usually send him in against non-heroic troops now. Just because, I mean, he can fight heroes with the Morgul Crown, but I don't think that's how he's designed to really be successful long-term, especially when you're burning will to do that. So I'd rather much use his will, prefer to use his will on other stuff like transfixing heroes and such. So that's his warband there. Then, of course, we've got the second warband of Numenorians with, of course, your Orc Spear support. And then I've got the Black Numenorian Marshal. Just a quick thing on the Marshal there. They don't really have a model for the Marshal. So what I did was I took a Castilian Guard, I believe that's what they're called, and I painted him kind of a paint scheme with the Numenorians. And then I took one of those, I had bought some of those Mordor and Isengard troll sets, and for some of my Isengard trolls, obviously they don't need the Mordor breastplates. So I took a Mordor troll breastplate and I kind of shaved it up and painted it up and gave him a shield there. So that's kind of why it's one of the mods that I made. Another mod that I did was I glued made a lot of shields, glued a lot of shields on my Tower Guard, they don't come with shields, and I also glued a bunch of shields with the orcs that I have. They don't come with shields either. So those are some of the mods I did for my army. But that you can see the marshal there. I think he looks really solid with that shield. Just looks cool. Kind of turn him this way too, so you can get a shot of him. So as far as my bases go there, I use, obviously I've got some of these bushes here. If you can see the bush there, I bought those from GW. And then got some of their grass as well. And then I just use kitty litter. So I found that on a couple of forums. It's really cool because they come in all different shapes and sizes when you glue them on there. So it gives it a natural look instead of having just a uniform. So you can see all the rocks around their feet and stuff. That's just kitty litter that I glued on there and then painted. So that's where I based them there. So you can see some of the Numenorians there. And then the last warband here, of course, there's my Morannon orcs. I'll show you some of the Morannon orcs there. It's got a, and these close-ups are actually looking pretty good here. So I'll kind of show you some of my paint jobs while I'm kind of going over them there. So those are Morannon orcs there. And then behind them, of course, you've got the goblins, or not goblins, orcs with spears. And then at the end there, we've got the Morannon orc captain there. He's got a severed head of a dude there. And I also gave him a shield too, and this tournament is what you see is what you get, which basically says if you have a piece of equipment, you better have it on your unit, otherwise you probably get penalized for it. So I bought a shield upgrade for him to give him a higher defense, and again I took a chunk of Isengard troll shield this time, and I cut it up, and so I just kind of used that as a shield there. So that's kind of, you can see the rivets there and stuff like that. So that's my Morannon orc captain there. One thing else I wanted to show you, actually a couple more things. I want to show you one of my Knights of Minas Tirith up close. I'll show you the Witch King up close, and of course I'll show you my banner, which I'm really proud of, up close as well. So the Knight of Minas Tirith here, let me get down and give you a shot of him. Apologize for the camera again. So that's my Knight of Minas Tirith there. He's got his banner there, and well, it's not really a banner, it's more of a flag, but there he is on horseback there. So I got him. I'll show you a shot of the Witch King here, a little closer shot of him. You can see there's a dead Rohan guy down there on his base. Let's go ahead and turn this fellow beast a little bit there so you can get some of the... So I got his tongue painted in different shades of gray there, and you see his teeth and his armor on him. And then you go up top, and there's the Witch King with his flail. So there's that side of him. There's the back side there. So you can see he's crushed a couple of men of Rohan. So that's my Witch King. So he came out pretty good on Fell Beast there. And then the last thing I want to show you before I conclude this is going to be my Bannerman. Proud of this one for two reasons. One, I free-handed the banner, which I think turned out really well. And two, I used some mods. With the new Hobbit rules, you can put spears on your Bannerman. So that's what I did. I had an extra point left with Evil, and I'm like, you know, I might as well get an over the shoulder with this guy and get, you know, an extra dice in when I can. So that's his banner in front. That's his banner on the rear there. You can see I did some green stuff there to kind of make a like a little rope that he's got his spear equipped with. And then I'll see if I can get in real close here so you can see some of the detail on this guy. Oh, it's a little too close there. There we go. So you can see it got his face came out pretty good. You know, the greens, the different shades of greens. I went with the shade of green that his banner has right there. and I use that to paint on all my standard orcs, all their shirt coats and their tunics and stuff are all that green glow, and it matches kind of the green glow of the Fortress of Minas Morgul. So that's kind of what I went with on that. So that's my my orc bannerman there. So I think he turned out really well. I'm really proud of that one. So that's kind of in a nutshell what I'm going to be running at Bilbo's Birthday Bash. Like I said, hopefully I'll get everybody's consent that's going to be there, and get you guys as many shots as I can of all the different armies. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get all of the battles in that I'd like to, just because I got to play as well, and I can't really slow the tournament down by filming. So I'll definitely try and get recaps after each round, and then we'll do a award ceremony, of course, and maybe some commentary from some of the guys that I'm flying out there with, and just kind of do like a trip type deal. So I'll be posting several different posts for that. It'll probably be in a series, so it may be like 1 of 6 or 1 of 8 or whatever, Bilbo's Birthday Bash. So look for those probably here in a little over a week. But I wanted to give you guys an update, let you guys know that I finished these armies. I just finished them today. I've been working on them for a couple of months now. Pretty happy with the way they turned out, and hopefully they'll play good. I've done a little bit of play testing with them, and I like how they play. I think they're competitive, and hopefully I'll just go out there, have a good time. That's what I'm looking to do, and meet some more Lord of the Rings players. So thanks again for watching, everybody. And hopefully stay tuned for some Bilbo's Birthday Bash from Chicago here early to mid-November. Thanks again.